Your personal vehicle. Think about it. It's probably a vehicle you might use every day. It's running errands, going to work, and or possibly using that vehicle on different apps in the gig economy. Your personal vehicle. Can I have it? Can I have it for, no, not a day. Can I have it for an entire weekend? Where am I going? I am traveling to visit family. You don't believe me? Well, you can't really confront me on that. That is exactly what it's like being a Turo host, renting your personal vehicle. And in this video, I'm going over my second ever customer experience with my personal vehicle, my 2015 Volkswagen Passat. And new problems, new things I learned. Of course, the pay. Is it even worth it? And as you saw in the title, something that I guarantee you're going to be interested in. So yeah, my personal vehicle, that 2015 Volkswagen Passat here in Pittsburgh, gone with a complete stranger for the entire weekend. Now, I've done a video on listing that, so don't worry. You can check that video out after this one, but for this video we're jumping right into it. It is booked. Let's meet our customer for the check-in. So this is done in person. I just kind of go down from the apartment complex here. That's my hosting area. I bring the car out front, put the four-ways on, and instruct the customer to meet me there. And the pickup time is 10 a.m. on a Friday. And 10 a.m., well, I should say a little before 10 a.m., I get a message saying, hey, I'm running late. It's actually going to be closer to 11, which was fine with me. I was kind of planning. I had some time. So I said, hey, that is fine. I will plan closer to 11. And in just doing my research on Turo, by the way, if you're interested in being a host, this does seem to be kind of common. Either the person's running early, late for either the check-in or the checkout. So 11 a.m. comes around and I bring the Passat around to the front of the building. Now, this time I did invest $10 in a car wash. Didn't want to take much longer this time to hand wash it. Now I did vacuum and disinfect, wipe down the inside, of course. So I bring it around and no customer. So yeah, no customer at 11, which I kind of anticipated, if we're honest. And I know, taking an Uber there, sometimes you run behind, etc. But yeah, I was waiting 11:05, 11:10, 11:15. It had to have been like 11:25 a.m. until I saw the customer arriving, which I get it. It's my duty. Now there is contactless check-ins as well, but in this case, hey, it's my responsibility to meet the customer, so let's go through it. As with my first experience, you're meeting the customer, introducing yourself. Hey, again, I appreciate you renting. Here's the vehicle. Here's how you do this and that, just basics, cruise control, starting the vehicle, any quirks and features, things like that. And I gotta say, this time, even more so, I saw this a little bit on the first client, my first ever client, but this time, there was kind of really minimal talking. And if I'm honest, just you and me, I kind of got the vibe like, look, dude, I just want the car and to get out of here. But yeah, I kind of like the rapport because it kind of gives me at least a simple judge of character. This is the first time that I'm meeting this person and they're taking my vehicle. But yeah, minimal talking, like no questions. And I asked several times, like, hey, do you have any questions? Stuff like that. But nope, I kind of got the vibe that they just wanted to get started. So off they go for the entire weekend. Now, I'm sure you have a lot of questions how Turo works, and certainly let me know down below in the comments what kind of videos you like to see breaking down the Turo hosting experience. But just so you know, there's a 200 mile a day cap. So there are extras that you can charge, and one of those extras being unlimited miles. We're going to go over that in a little bit, but food for thought. 200 miles a day. All right, so the weekend went by. It is time. It is Sunday evening. It is time to collect my vehicle. Now, this is going to be contactless. There's processes in place. I'll talk to you about that. But before that, the drop-off Sunday evening was at 8 p.m. Did you think that it was done exactly at 8 p.m.? No, no, it wasn't. So the client simply texted me, listen to this. The client said, I'm dropping the car off at 9. Like, no.
Hey, sorry, I'm running late. Hey, I'm not going to be able to make 8.
Like literally one sentence statement, I'm dropping the car off at 9. And I'm like, all right, I guess you're dropping the car off at 9. Now, they did request an extension. And just for some background, this customer had used Turo 3 other times. My first client, it was their first experience, but this customer used it 3 other times, so they know how it works. So I got a notification before, I don't know when it was, like 6:30, 7 p.m. on that Sunday, requesting the extension. And the extension was until 9:30. Remember, it was supposed to be 8 p.m. So I really didn't have anything going on. I was going to be at the apartment to collect the vehicle anyway. So I accepted it. It said you have, I think, 2 hours or 12 hours to accept that extension request. I'm trying to remember, but it doesn't make sense to have like a 12-hour window when they're requesting to extend it like that night. Anyway, I approved it. So the contactless drop off, I fully instructed the customer, what to do when dropping off the vehicle. I resent kind of part of the welcome message, or at least part of the guest instructions, I should say. So I said, hey, as a reminder, well, firstly, I said, thank you for renting my Passat on Turo. Hope you had an awesome trip. Just some good customer service there. And I said, as a reminder, you can park the vehicle here, there's free parking. You can park it here, which are metered parking, but don't worry about paying any meters. I'm like right here. I'll just come down and get it for you. And I have instructions now. This is one thing I learned from that first client experience of how to do a contactless drop off. It's pretty simple. You just park the vehicle legally, just distinguish that just to make sure you cover your bases with with it in writing. So I said, legally park, lock the vehicle, put the keys in the provided envelope and deliver it to the main lobby of the apartment complex. And then they're instructed to take pictures, just documenting the end of their trip. I think that's pretty straightforward. So I sent them the first message an hour before the initial drop off at 7 p.m. I sent them all of that, the instructions. Then I got the extension. I approved the extension. I think I sent them another, 1 or 2 messages that evening, closer to 9 p.m. because that's all they said. One sentence, I'm dropping it off. And get this, I'm trying to remember, I think like no response to those messages. The customers just simply ended the trip. I think it was a little bit after 9, because the official extension was until 9:30. They said 9, but they did request until 9:30. So I think it was, a little bit after 9. So didn't say anything, just ended the trip, submitted their pictures. And I even texted like, hey, where'd you park? Just so I know, you don't have to walk around this entire building. Nope. Didn't say anything. I mean, I could tell from the pictures they sent me. So how do you think the vehicle looked after being driven by a stranger for the entire weekend? All right, check it out. Here is the condition of my Volkswagen Passat after an entire weekend of unknown driving. I have no idea where this vehicle was. As you're taking a look at the vehicle, and just make note of some smudges, fingerprints. It's pretty dusty. There's mud in the wheel wells. I don't know where these people drive, but I get it. If you're on some side roads, hey, I am just providing a service with the vehicle. But anyway, take a look at the vehicle. So get this, the customer actually went over on the mileage. So with really next to zero communication, I mean, not even saying, hey, just so you know, I went over on miles, just let me know what I got to do for that. Like nothing. It says the ending odometer. So you can see here, it says enter the ending odometer, and you'll enter the starting odometer at the start of the customer's trip, of course. And then the fuel level, they are responsible to fill up the fuel tank. So check it out. At the end of this trip, they actually drove 758 miles for a 3-day weekend trip, which is what? 200 times 3, 600 miles was their trip cap. So they went over 158 miles. So that's actually really the first thing that I noticed is because, again, I got to enter the ending odometer and then it pops up like, hey, they drove 758 miles. And I'm thinking like, that's a lot of miles. It should be 600. I didn't even get to really review the vehicle's physical condition. So I'm thinking, what do I need to do to charge this, to invoice the customer for the overage? So check it out. Here is the reimbursement request, the invoicing for going over the mileage cap. So you can see it says additional distance. You can charge guests for every additional mile driven beyond the distance included with the trip. The additional distance rate for this trip is 36 cents per mile. You'll get 27 cents per mile. And it says additional distance and entering the total here, 158. Now, I think maybe one of the trickiest things that you might have to navigate here is how do I smartly do this? Because I'm sending this customer an additional invoice because, yeah, they went over. So it says add the invoice. I'm charging this customer $56.88 for this overage. Now it says you can send them a message, and here's maybe kind of a template you can use. I mean, I worked in customer service for years, so I think this is worded nicely but smartly. So I said, hello, customer. Thank you for dropping off my Passat. Everything looks in order with the vehicle, and I appreciate you filling up the tank. It looks like you were over the 600-mile limit by 158 miles. Because of this, I'm sending over an invoice to cover this amount as it does add to the wear and tear of the vehicle. Thank you. So there's a process after this that, you go through the Turo website. I didn't see this, by the way, on the app. So I did have to do this on, my laptop, the actual dashboard, just so you know that. And the invoice goes to the customer, and then they have to approve it or basically deny it. Like, are they going to pay or are they going to challenge the invoice? And what do you think? What do you think happened from a customer that didn't say much of anything in person at check-in to next to nothing during the checkout to simply telling me they're going to drop it off later? Now, they didn't request the extension. What do you think they did with that invoice? Well, that customer surprisingly paid it immediately. They actually paid it immediately. As soon as I sent it over, they paid it. So they knew what they did. I mean, it was right there in the odometer, and they enter, I believe, the odometer count as well. So maybe there's a two-factor authorization on the odometer start and stop, but they paid it pretty immediately. And I'll just say the physical condition of the vehicle, it was fine. I mean, if you're renting the car out and they're doing some traveling, then yes, it's gonna get dirty. There's gonna be fingerprints. There's gonna be, I don't know, maybe they're partying, whatever they're doing, but there's some stuff in the seats and this and that, and it's completely dusty. That's going to happen if you're renting your vehicle. So number one, and don't leave this video, haven't even gone over the pay. You're going to want to see that. But before that, there's some things that I learned after this experience. Well, even after my first experience. So let me show you this. I got a few accessories to help myself and the customer just streamline the process. So number one, a Faraday bag. That's going to block the radio frequency of this, of, a lot of these key fobs. So I put it in here. It's protected. So let's say you store it somewhere outside the vehicle. Someone can't just open the vehicle just because the key is nearby. And then number two, something that I feel is really a must. So a magnetic under-car storage box for keys. So this, there we go, just snaps open. There's some foam in there. It's actually 2 layers of foam, right? You can put them in, take them out. And as you can guess, key goes in there. You close it. And there's 2 very strong magnets here that can attach to the underside of your vehicle. So you can say, hey, just leave the key inside the Faraday bag, preventing unlocks, and put it in this box and stick it to the underside of the vehicle. Now, the only problem with this that I need to figure out is this is apparently the XL and the key fits in no problem. But if they are going to put it in the Faraday bag, this does not close. It's too big. And I mean, this is basically one of the smallest ones I could find on Amazon. So we'll keep looking there. I did have another method that this customer did use, which was that envelope. So, stick it in here. I mean, you can put it in the Faraday bag. It doesn't really matter at this point, but you can put it in the Faraday bag, you can put it in the envelope, and I had them deliver to the apartment lobby. There has to be a way to secure the key outside of the vehicle, because the main problem that I had with that first customer is I told them to leave the key in the vehicle, and they couldn't lock the key in the vehicle. I guess the Passat just wouldn't let them do that, right? It makes sense. And even though I had a spare key, they couldn't securely lock that vehicle. So the pay, how much did I get paid for this weekend journey on Turo? So here's my original invoice, and we can see the pay breakdown here of what the customer was paying. So we can see the 3-day discount. They do get a discount for booking 3 days or more. We have 600 total miles. We have a trip total. Of course, Turo fees, that's going to be a part of the platform here. And my initial take was $163.53. But here's the updated invoice. And now we see the excessive distance reimbursement, $42.66, and now my take is $206.19. So here's my verdict specifically on client number 2. I'm not going to make a sweeping verdict just yet, but $206 for like 758 miles. So I got to tell you, I am really kind of scratching my head at where's the appeal here in justifying the wear and tear in the miles? Because what we talk about, the dollars to mile ratio, how much am I getting paid for the miles driven, is pretty awful so far on Turo. And the 200 miles a day, that's the minimum. You can't lower it. It used to be lower, but you can't lower it other than 200 miles a day. So both of my clients traveled a good amounts. The first client, 500 and some miles, and then this one's 758 for $206 in this case. I mean, I don't know. I don't know necessarily where the appeal is. It is a bad dollars to mile ratio. It is many more miles than if you even drove, gig economy apps for each day. I mean, that's what, 246 200 and some miles a day. That's a huge day of driving, basically. At least a lot more than gig driving. And it's unknown driving. It's unknown destination. Now, you are allowed to have tracking devices on your Turo vehicles. You're allowed. It is in the terms of service. So if I do continue this, get more clients, at least to show you what it's like. That's kind of my job here. It's kind of my job to at least show you what it's like. Then I am looking at tracking devices, specifically Verizon Connect at this point. So let me know your thoughts down below. Is it worth it? I would love to hear the argument if it's worth it. But what do you think of client number 2? I'm sure there will be more because I want to provide you with good videos and experiences. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you got value in this video, can you drop me a like, please? It definitely helps out. Makes my Passat feel better. I don't know. It definitely helps out the channel. I appreciate that. And you can also click or tap the screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.